Today in hot new diet trends, how eating seaweed could help save the world. No, not humans eating seaweed. You can put away your sushi and Superman cape. Cows eating seaweed. It turns out that by replacing just a small portion of livestock diets with a certain species of seaweed, the farming industry could cut methane emissions by more than 70%. To understand why that's important, we first have to understand the problem. It's a pretty popular trivia fact that cow farts are one of the major contributors to global warming. And while that's mostly true, and hilarious, and depressing, the problem is a little more complicated than that. We like to blame it all on just the farts, but most of the methane emissions from cows comes from burps. Farts are only 10% of the problem. Really, we thought middle schoolers were talking about a bunch of nonsense all these years, but they have been talking about very important issues. Burps and farts. Farts and burps. All of these gases are released as a byproduct of the cow's digestive system, which it turns out is fascinating. Cows eat plants, and plants are much, much harder to digest than meat. As a result, most herbivores have a pretty complicated digestive system. Cows, for example, have 4 stomachs. The first stomach is the largest and does most of the work. Typically, when the cow eats the food, it goes into this stomach, they digest it for a bit, and then they regurgitate it, re-chew it, re-swallow it, and repeat and repeat and repeat. And this helps break down all the plant fibers. I'm telling you, plants are vicious. Hug a vegan. They're tougher than you think. That first stomach contains billions of tiny microbes that help aid in digesting the plant material. So when the food goes into the first stomach, those microbes help break it down, turn it into useful things like fatty acids, and then the cow regurgitates it, chews it, and it goes back into the stomach for the microbes to work on some more. Unfortunately, a lot of these microbes are what is known as methanogens, meaning that they produce crap tons, forgive the phrase, of methane. 6% of what they eat gets lost as methane gas. Not only that, but methanogens are actually pretty inefficient. Up to 15% of energy from a cow's food gets lost in those methane emissions, which is a big deal if you're a farmer wanting to save money on feed. But how, you might ask, do they work? Well, as I mentioned, when a cow eats, it chews the food, swallows it, it goes into that first stomach, gets digested by all those microbes, and then they regurgitate it, chew it again, swallow it again, rinse and repeat. And during this process, those microbes are releasing carbon dioxide and hydrogen, which gets scooped up by the methanogens, and they turn it into methane. So, to solve the problem, we either need to get rid of all the methanogens, or keep them from getting what ingredients they need to make all of that methane. A lot of solutions have been suggested for this sticky and stinky situation. Some researchers have suggested adding garlic to cows' diets, high tannin plants. They've suggested probiotics, vaccines. Some researchers have even suggested covering the entire farm in a protective bubble and trapping all these cow gases to repurpose for energy. Which is a choice. At one point, a solution was found that worked pretty well. It was called bromochloromethane, or BCM. BCM was really effective at getting methanogens to chill the heck out. But unfortunately, producing BCM also significantly contributed to depleting the ozone layer, which kind of defeats the point, so BCM production was banned, and it was back to square one. That is, until we tried this one species of seaweed, Asparagopsis taxiformis. That sounds Italian. Asparagopsis taxiformis. This seaweed contains a compound known as bromoform, which it uses as a natural defense mechanism. But it turns out this naturally occurring bromoform is chemically similar to, you guessed it, BCM. Except in producing bromoform, we don't risk depleting the ozone layer, 'cause it's naturally produced. The seaweed just makes it. Thanks, seaweed. So when the seaweed is added to a cow's diet, it keeps the methanogens from doing what they gotta do to produce methane, leading to significantly less gassy cows. And it turns out the seaweed is super effective. According to a study done by James Cook University in Australia, Replacing just 2% of a cow's diet with this seaweed leads to a 99% reduction in methane, which is incredible. Plus, as good news to farmers, remember how the methanogens lose like 15% of the energy from food when they're making methane? That doesn't happen when the cows eat the seaweed, so the feed is more efficient, which saves farmers money and keeps them from having to worry about the grasses being less high quality when the seasons change. And the rest of us don't have to worry about cow burps destroying the planet. It's a win-win. It would take 1 million tons of seaweed per year to feed the world's cow population, which sounds like a lot. But there's already a really large seaweed industry. 25 million tons are produced each year, which is like twice the global production amount for lemons. So it's a lot. It's actually a viable solution. Now, there's a lot of research and studying that still needs to be done, but it could be, in the not too distant future, seaweed could save us all from the humiliating fate that cow flatulence is what did our planet in. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, check out some of the other projects I've worked on linked below. And if you like science and you like comedy and you like art, you should check out the Patreon for the upcoming video podcast series, Solve for X Variety Show. Thanks, everyone!